Welcome to the Sandbox to CEO podcast, where we share journeys to success. Now, here is your host. Get ready to be inspired.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I am Jason Silver. Along with me in my home office is J.R. Zorzinski. What's going on, J.R.?
How we doing?
Doing all right, man. This is our 6th episode. We're doing a back-to-back episode. Tonight we'll shoot one, put it out tomorrow, and then tomorrow night I will be interviewing an AI professional. JR is going to be spending some time with some family. So we'll put out a special tomorrow night. You talking about getting out camping, doing some backyard camping the other day? You get out and doing that?
Oh, yeah. So the last 2 nights I was actually sleeping on the ground. Had my son and daughter and Jaden Zane, and then Tom and Haley were over at Mimi and Papa Russ's house, and we had 2 tents up in the backyard, boys in one tent, girls in the other. I ended up sleeping with the boys in the one tent, so it was me, Tom, and Zane, and then Mimi slept with the girls in the other tent. We did some s'mores. We had a cast iron skillet on the open fire, and we did hot dogs, and we did burgers on the skillet, and we did some bacon. So it all came out pretty good. I was surprised that it all came out as well as it did. But I would do it again. Yeah, it was the first time camping. I also told Zane, I really think it was the first time I've ever slept in a tent. I can't remember a time that I slept in a tent. I've slept on boats. I've slept in campers.
Yeah.
I've slept outside on an air mattress in high school. But I don't think I've ever went camping and ever slept in a tent. And I told Zane that was the first time that we experienced something together for the first time. And we experienced sleeping in the tent. And then the girls went to my brother's house. And then Tom and Zane stayed, and then we slept in the tent again on Monday night. So I did 2 nights in the tent.
There you go.
From not doing anything. So it was a good time to spend some time with family, though.
Awesome. Got some family time in. I know you were about the weather, so I'm glad it broke and you got some good outside first experience family time, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right into it tonight. We're going to go over a few topics here. We're going to talk about networking and how to network with strategy. Get out there, talk to the right people, do the right things, make the right moves. We're going to jump into investing or gaining investors. When it's time to bring in capital, we kind of talked about that a little bit last time, but we're going to look at it from both ends. When is a good time to invest into something, and when's a good time to bring investors into your business or business venture. And finally, we're going to get into a little topic we typically don't touch on. JR and I, since he's in town, we're hanging out a little bit. We were watching a TV show the other night. We want to talk about that TV show a little bit and kind of what was happening in the TV show and how it translates into the real world. So, like I said, we're going to jump right into it, get into our on the ground topic.
Before we jumped into it, though, let's touch on this poster back here.
Yeah,
I got here.
I mentioned before the show. I want to take a shout out to my sister Jonna, who painted that for me, I believe, my 35th birthday. It's been a staple in my home office for. It used to be my last house in the bar, and then once I moved into this home, it became right in my office, and bought some matching pillows. And I'm a big Superman fan, so I get to nerd out a little bit in here with that. So, like I said, we're going to jump right into business networking. I want to touch on, intentional targeting, making sure you're talking to the right people, providing value first, asking for value back later, the 3-touch rule, and curating your circle. So let's start with, your intentional target list. When you go into a networking event, how do you determine the right people to talk to, especially when it's a new location, it's a new networking group? If you're going solo, sometimes you go with someone, then they help you target people. But what do you do when you go in somewhere new and you're trying to find the right people to target, to talk to, so you can provide them value, or maybe down the road they can provide you value?
Well, I will tell you that, these are all good questions. So what I've done recently and what most people do is I think first is if you're going to a networking event, eat first, right? So don't go there hungry. Eat first. If you eat first, then you're not sitting there looking around, trying to eat, get in some, you're eating, you're not really talking. Um,
A lot of people like that free food though. So
Yeah, I do like that free food.
it's hard to pass
So,
up.
so maybe you just pick a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
so you don't go to a networking event starving. Um, the next thing you do probably is what they say is, right. So a good place to stand is next to the bar, right? So everyone's a little nervous when they're at a networking event. They go up to the bar, they get their drink, and they turn around. And for that second right there, if they don't know what to do, they're looking, I'm looking, and then that's when you could start talking, and you could say, "Oh, hey," and you could ask them either uh, ask them their name, what do they do, what do they like to do for fun. Maybe don't just say, "Hey," always go up to them with the vanilla of, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" Say, "Hey, what do you do for fun?" So it's some different opening lines.
That's a great point. And a lot of times networking is kind of like dating. I remember, back in the day, you date, you get to the bar, you try to find someone to buy a drink for, you want to come up with a good pickup line. In networking, you have to have a handful of good pickup lines to intro yourself, a great elevator pitch, and be in the right spot to find the right people. So that's something that I actually have never directly thought of, and I guess it translates not only to business but to some part of social life.
Another thing too that you also want to do is, in most networking events, they'll give you a list of who's going to be at these networking events. So you can kind of look at that list before and target that list. If you're in healthcare, look at some other individuals that might be in healthcare. If you're in construction, look at other people that might be in construction. So look at your target list prior, write them down, and then be strategic and find those people at the networking event. The other thing too is you can take notes, right? Now you have these things called the digital business card, where you take notes, and then you could put where you met them, how you're going to remember them, so then you could have that follow up with that that callback.
Even using something like Calendly and making, when you get someone information, setting up a meeting with them right away, that will kind of feed back into the topic we're going to touch on one of the next line items underneath the networking. But not only introducing yourself, not only getting contacts, but already creating that next conversation. So making sure you know what kind of products are out there to enhance your networking experience is good. There's, like you said, there's digital business cards. You can scan it. It can automatically put your information in their phone, and then vice versa. Someone will automatically send information back to your phone, so you only have to exchange once. It saves time. It kind of moves things a little faster compared to fumbling around a business card. The business card in your hand, and you just want to look at it and see what kind of it just makes it faster. Boom, boom, tap, go. So that's
well, then you got the business card, and then you got to put it in the CRM later anyway. So
you got to scan it and type it in. You add an I instead of a Y, then you can't contact the person, or you're trying to do it fast. I think digital is the way to go. I do like having a nice business card. I just don't get asked for them very often anymore.
Right.
But having a few, having business cards, I still think is a key component. I've tried to at business events having like that nice. I think I have like the dot business card. I think that's what it's called, which is pretty nice. And I've given it to try to hand it so I could tap it to people. You're like, wow, this is like the nice business card that I've ever seen. I'm like, no, that's just my tap card. I'm taking that from that.
Yeah, right.
But if you were to get something that's digital, whether you have a QR code on your phone, which I have, I also have a tap card. My QR code is very personalized. I make sure there's a nice picture in it. I wrote, have all my links to all my social media, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok. Everything has to do with business profile. And you can also have, your personal and a business. To make sure you get out the right one. You don't want to give out your personal information when you're doing a business event.
Right.
If you're handing out your personal information a lot.
Right.
So now that we know a couple good places to stand, and we kind of have a target audience, and maybe you have a goal in mind, Jared can write down a few names. He's gonna go out there, try to seek a few of those names. Maybe if he writes down 5 names, he's happy. If he finds 3 of those people, he moves on. So once you have your targets down, maybe target's not the best word, but we're going to use that word. Once you have your network targets down, we've done conferences together, we've read books, we've done a lot of things, and we listen to podcasts. And something that a lot of people don't always practice when it comes to networking is a lot of people go into networking, especially newer people in networking, new people in sales, new people in the industry, in any industry, and they immediately want to show you too much value and or ask you what you can do for them. Like they're just going too hard at the game.
Right.
And I want to talk about how you are able to present value, control the conversation, and as you get to know the person by controlling the conversation, you can see if they have any value in it. They can provide you value, if you can provide them value, but also controlling that conversation allows you to exit the conversation in a polite way, right? Sometimes you go to a networking event and the person, it's really not someone that can provide me value, or I really can't do anything for them. But maybe we exchange contacts. And at the same time, maybe I just talked to Bob over there, and Bob is in the same industry. Building up that business Rolodex, especially at these networking events, allows you to pass someone off in a polite way. Hey, I appreciate your time. Nice meeting you. I don't really know if our business is jive, but I was just talking to him over there, and you guys, I think you should go talk to him. If you haven't talked to him, go talk to Bob.
You're right.
So what do you do? How do you do that? How do you look for value? How do you provide value? And how do you try to control the conversation so it doesn't last too long or it's not too short?
Right. Well, I think, like you said, like providing value. So if you're asking, when you're in a networking event, right, is you're trying to figure out who's who, what's what, and then also, like you said, is right. If I go to a networking event and I run into or I talk to someone that's in construction, I can say, oh, you know what? I have a friend of mine that does construction X, Y, and Z, and he's a roofer, right? So then you could kind of connect them. It's like you said, it's providing value first. Also, they say, it's the best referral is giving a referral.
Well, and that's a good point, right? Because it's not always what value you provide. Being in construction, if I meet someone in the healthcare industry, I can pass along their name, which is providing that person value. And that's kind of the point I was making about overselling yourself and what you do compared to providing overall value. Right. So that's a good point there.
Yeah, right. Like you don't want to just throw up your future features and benefits of your own company, right? It's more of a, hey, how can I help you out? What are you looking for? What's a good referral partner for you? And then, right, if you start that conversation that way, then you kind of lead that conversation. And they could be like, you know what? You could help me do that. Like maybe there's something that I could help you with. Maybe there's something I could help you with. So being that kind of person that, providing value for somebody else is usually how, and it's, it's less salesy, right? It's less salesy.
It's, everyone going to I have to say, less. I'm trying to work on that, guys. Going to a networking event or being in business in general, whether you're in sales or you own the company or you're in administrative assistants, you should have that elevator pitch. You should have something ready to go. But it's not always, hey, I'm Jason, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you say that elevator pitch for middle to end the conversation to explore what else can happen with the next. Hey, I'm Jason, I'm in construction. That's one thing. But giving that full 30-second, 45-second elevator pitch sometimes is too much and almost too needy off the bat.
Right.
Right. So I think knowing what value you provide, having a good network, having a good Rolodex of people you can contact, and even if someone's not at the networking event, again, you go somewhere that someone can provide me value, I provide them value. Hey, my buddy Jason, he does, he owns this company. You guys should talk. Let me give you his number.
Right.
It doesn't have to be someone there and then. It could just be someone in your Rolodex. And then down the road, that guy you talk to remembers your name, and all of a sudden he has an elderly person that may need home health care or something like that. And they remember you because you didn't really pitch them they know what you did, but you helped them in another way.
Right.
So by providing value outside of just what you do, people tend to remember you. And I think that provides a big jump in networking. And also people want to talk to you more. If you're always pitching your business, everyone's been to a networking event that all the person does is business. And then they get known that, oh, that's the guy. All he's going to do is try to meet you for that insurance meeting. He wants to sell you healthcare. He wants to sell you life insurance. He's that guy, And
right.
there's people out there, and that tactic sometimes work. But I think, in my opinion, I think your opinion, and a lot of a professional opinion, is it's more about total value compared to individual value.
Yeah, well, you're building if you want to build a long-lasting relationship, which is the best referral partner or business partner or colleague is providing. It's a give and take, right? It's a give and take. It just can't be take. And the more, right, the more service or the more that you give, long term, usually, it comes back to you.
And we touched on the controlling the conversation. It doesn't mean overpowering it. It's when you lead a conversation, when you ask the right questions, it's an easier way to understand the value you can provide, the value they can provide to you, and it also allows. Sometimes you have to exit a conversation, especially when you're there to accomplish tasks. If you have these 3, 5, 7 people that you want to meet, these networking events are hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. And sometimes people stop by, they're there for 15, 20 minutes and they leave.
Yeah, right.
So you want to make sure you hit those people at the right time. And spending too long, knowing when to exit the conversation, knowing when to pass one off, that's of extreme value. And I think there's definitely ways to do that without being rude. And especially, again, we're talking about providing value outside of yourself, and sharing your Rolodex and sharing your network with other people helps you do that. Now, you have your three to 5 people you want to meet. You go through a group, you start talking to people, and you collect those 3 to 5 numbers and contacts you want to do. Let's talk about the 3-touch rule and what you need to do within the next 24 hours and how that helps you cultivate that relationship, whether it's business or maybe you meet someone that could be, not only business, but you kind of like that person could be someone you attend our networking events together with.
Right.
You can both grow as a pair, even if you're in different industries. Let's talk about the 3-touch rule here.
Yeah. Well, you always want to be providing value, add context to each conversation, be able to recall something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recall a previous conversation that you had with them. Oh, I remember you were telling me about your son plays basketball. How did that basketball game go?
Yeah.
Or, hey, something of that nature, something that you could call back, I think is an important thing.
That's the nice part when you do have the digital business card and you exchange it digitally. Before you put it in your phone, you can put a note saying, oh, son plays basketball. Daughter just went to University of South Carolina. What's up, Sean? Something like that. You can throw it out there and you can say, oh, how's your daughter's first week at school? How's your son's basketball tryouts? And just putting those little notes in that contact.
I think that's huge.
It's huge. And it provides context like we're talking about. It also allows you to convert that quick conversation into what can turn into a real relationship, whether, again, it's going to start as a business. It could end up being someone you have friends with. Your son plays basketball. Sooner or later, they might be in the same league, maybe not on the same team. It's just kind of building up not only that business Rolodex that we keep on talking about, but your social Rolodex. And then making sure you're reaching out, within 24 hours. I know sometimes that's a little quick, but within the first day or two,
I don't think 24 hours is that, 24 hours, by the 24 to 36 hours, yeah. Right?
And even shooting out an email that night.
Yeah.
If you have to get to your car after the networking event and spend 15 minutes in there, hey, great to meet you tonight. I would love to discuss business opportunities through coffee. Oh, hey, just putting it out there. You don't always have to schedule another meeting, but
I'm seeing a lot of LinkedIn requests then, right? After a networking event, then you just go on the LinkedIn request, which, then you have a LinkedIn request. Then if you're posting with your business or they see you personally, they get to know you a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker, and you can build that relationship and that trust with that person and not having to be with them at all times and always having that conversation. If you have that post go up, every day, a couple times a day, they're going to get to know you, kind of know your movements, know what you're doing. Like for me, right? I'm doing some posting and trying to post in the morning of when I'm working out. So anyone that is somewhat following me or knows me would be he gets up in the morning and he works out in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they'll get used to knowing that oh yeah, he gets up in the morning, he works out in the morning, and he's talking about some rocket ship that who knows what's going on, or make today great on purpose, right? And I've gotten some texts in the morning from shout out to my boy Derek. He'll give me a call like, hey, where's the morning motivational post kind of a thing. And other friends of mine too have been like, oh yeah, no, I'll get a LFG text kind of a thing. And people start to know you, trust you, without spending as much time with you.
And again, having the right social links on your digital business card is key. It will shorten your time. You may not always have to do your full elevator pitch. You may be able to talk about other things. And it allows the people to not only see you through LinkedIn, which will be more personal, but if you do have a personal Instagram account or Facebook that you share on there, that you do motivational things, you kind of share your life, not only do they get to know you from the business side, but again, they see a little bit more of the personal side, which also brings us to our next part of networking. Is you go through, you find your 3 to 5 people, you make sure you get a chance to talk to them. You do the 3-touch rule, you reach out to them, you add a little context to it, and you convert it in the short conversation into a long, more of a long-term relationship. And that also allows you to curate your circle. Knowing more people in different networks, it doesn't always have to be within the same industry, allows you to attend these networking events. It allows you to expand your circle. But having a solid group of people that are looking out not only for the best interest in themselves, but also for their people in that circle is key.
Right.
So by doing those first few steps, it helps build that circle that even if you're not able to attend an event, they're going to push you above someone else. They could know 2 to 3 people that do the same thing that you do. They could know 2 to 3 general contractors, but maybe they like me a little more. Maybe I'm a little more personable. Maybe I talk to them. Maybe I remember that their kids going to school, ask them how they were doing. And those little small notes and those little small keys and that little extra effort really puts you in their mind and helps.
Well, I think that's what all networking is. It's trying to stay top of mind with potential buyers, sellers, people that want to do business with you. I mean, that's what kind of networking is, and that's why you go to these events, and that's why you go to sales calls, is that you go there, you build the relationship, you keep building that relationship so that, when someone says, oh, I'm looking to redo my bathroom. Oh, well, I'm going to call Jason.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm looking at, getting, maybe it's insurance and it's an insurance guy. Oh, I'm going to call, X, Y, and Z that does insurance. You usually want to stay on top of mind.
And networking, it's not always something you're going to get business from right away. If you're in a new company, you're starting a new company, you're in a new phase of your life, you're going from a sales guy to a manager, don't expect things to happen overnight, and don't be discouraged. Keep on pushing through, keep on attending, keep on making sure you're following up with those people and cultivating those relationships. You never know. It could be a year later, and all of a sudden someone remembers what you do, right? For instance, I golfed with someone last year, talked about what I did. The guy happened to break someone's window on a golf course last week. And he, out of nowhere, I haven't talked to the guy in 6 months. Hey, Jason, hey, I broke someone's window. Could you help us out?
Right.
And that's a small step. Now, it wasn't directly work for him, but he saw that I jumped on something right away, provided value, but it wasn't something that happened overnight. It's not a very big job,
right? But
it's also, hey, he trusted me enough. He knew me a little more personal than some other company that he could have just called, but he called me instead.
Right.
So, networking is, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right. Exactly.
Keep on pushing, keep on keeping on. So I think we kind of covered that pretty good. There's lots of books out there, tons of podcasts, tons of motivational speakers and stuff that talk about networking and the right and wrong way to do it. Is there right and wrong ways? I think there is. Everyone has their own personal techniques and it works for different people, but explore different techniques, explore different styles. We thought about reading books, honestly, listen to books, kind of drive around a lot,
Right.
But, expand your knowledge on how to do a little bit of everything, how to do networking, how to do anything. You're never too old to learn something new, and you're never too old to change something about yourself.
Right.
So we're going to jump into, we were talking about capital last week. Let me get into the trenches here. Banner I like to do. Pow. So we talked about raising capital last week, bringing in partners, bringing in investors. We wanted to expand a little more on that outside of just bringing investors. But if you're at a point in your life, in your career, that you're ready to invest in someone else or into something else. We talked about maybe, whether you own a franchise or let's say you own a McDonald's and it's time to reach out and see if you can get a second McDonald's.
Right.
If you have a area territory franchise and you want to expand, if you're doing well and all of a sudden you're provided an option, an opportunity to invest in something, and how to weed those out. So I think we'll start with having an investor ready checklist. And I think that works on both ends, whether you want to invest or you want to bring someone in. Having a checklist of your own personal financials or what you need from someone else to provide information that you need. So let's touch on that a little bit and some things that you think are important to those checklists outside of just the financials, maybe past experience, maybe ideas, maybe long-term goals. What would you want to see in a investor checklist? And watch that quarter.
Yeah. So I am a new, more of a new business owner. So I wouldn't say that I am necessarily know everything about this, but I'll take a stab at it. Right. If you definitely want to have your financials and kind of come up with a 10, 12 month, 6 month, 12 month, 18, 24 month, guideline of what to expect, right? If you're trying to maybe sell a company, you need to paint the picture of what, everyone wants to push the easy button, right? You want to push the easy button, right? So you want everything laid out in front of you to say, okay, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I should be able to expect X output, right? So if you have, clear financials of being like, all right, if you spend X amount of dollars on marketing or, all right, it's been historically spent this much and this is what your return is, right? That's what people want to see.
Well, and they talk about, past indicators are always not future indicators, right? What you do in the past will not always work in the future. And, not only do you have a 6, 12, 18 month, 24 future, but if you're also selling or you're buying into something, I think that's important that you put together your own checklist of, let's see the last 6, 12, 24 months of business and what your plans are or what my plans are for the next 6, 12, 24 months after that. So you want to see past and future and plans and ideas. When you're presenting as someone that's looking for investors, you may not always want to divulge 100% of information. You can give, tidbits of ideas of what you're looking to do without, if you feel like you have a master plan, you don't want someone to steal your intellectual property, your ideas, right? So I think there's ways to do it without divulging too much, but still enticing someone, making their mouth water, wanting to bring them in your company. And I think whatever you would do to sell part of your company would be something you want to see from someone else.
Right.
So those past and future indicators of that and what it means to them and the passion. If you're buying someone's part of someone's company, someone wants to start something with you, you want to see their passion, right? You want to sell and then you want to sell something with passion. You want to sell, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we need investors. We're doubling up. I have all this lined up. I'm doing A, B, and C, maybe without getting an A1, A2, A3, right? Just kind of broad scoping it. But I think having a nice checklist, and guys, we're going to have this AI podcast tomorrow night, but this is something that AI can really help you with, asking certain questions into the system and having them help you with these checklists and these punch lists and things to look for when you're A, looking to invest in one thing, or B, looking to sell, right?
Yeah, AI could do some pretty nifty things pretty quickly, right?
Yes.
Something that in the past could have taken weeks or months to do, it's doing in days or hours.
Sometimes it's pumping up these ideas right away, and they're small. And learning how to use AI and ask the right questions is also key. You can't just put one thing in and expect the right answer. You put something in, you make sure it dials in. I know most AIs will say, "Hey, do you want me to dig deeper? Do you want me to try more?" But asking the right questions, you're leading something that doesn't have emotion, doesn't have it's really just they're LLMs, right? Large language models. All they're doing is pulling off information off the internet that put there by humans. So really doing targeted AI searches, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this with Steve tomorrow. But using AI the right way and working with AI and not just letting it work for you.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's super important. So whether you're looking for an investor or you're looking to invest, where are some places you go? Networking, online, there's angel investor groups. What would you be looking to do either way, whether you're looking for an investor or you're looking to sell? What type of places or people would you be in search of?
I think you would, if you're looking for investors, I think you want someone that's, could be someone that could bring value, right? It's not always just capital, right? I don't think, if you are going for investors, right? There are certain investors that are just pumping capital and they just are passive.
Mm-hmm.
I think for most small to medium businesses, it's going to be someone that's going to bring some value, right? Maybe it's an operations person, maybe it's a salesperson, maybe it's someone with their network, maybe it's someone that has a unique style or charisma, things of that nature. So I think I don't think it's always about capital. I think it has more to do with bringing value to the company for looking for investors.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? Investing doesn't always mean that you're just throwing money at something or collecting money. It's also, hey, we've all seen Shark Tank. You go on Shark Tank, you present your idea. No one is just going to sit there and say, "I'm giving you $3 million. That's it." No, I'm going to give you, 10% of your company. I'm going to help you with production. I'm going to help you with logistics. I'm going to help you with marketing. It's not just like you said. They're also buying in, but they're buying it as a partnership, not just throwing money at it and hoping for a small return. There are investors out there that want that will throw you some money and want some points back on it. Go give you loans.
That sounds like more like a loan to me, right?
Yes, and then some investors want to do that and want to get in, want to get out. Some investors are long term. Some investors want to be some type of partner. Give you ideas. Most investors are going to want to sit on board meetings, quarterly meetings. If you don't have a big company, they want to feedback, see the books. And I do think whether you're investing or you're looking for an investor, that's kind of someone you want to be or look for. You want to make sure your money's working for you. They want to make sure their money's working for them.
Right.
But they don't want to fail, and you don't want to fail. So you want to make sure whether you're doing it or you're having someone do it, you're keeping track of it. When you're looking for people to invest, someone that's trustworthy is big, and a lot of people don't want to partner up with friends or family members. How would you navigate that and find someone that's trustworthy? And I guess it goes back to our first topic, networking and having a larger Rolodex. Maybe even knowing someone that, hey, I use this investor, they like to get in a handful of other things. How do you feel about investing with friends or family? And I guess maybe it leads back to what their values are, what they bring to the table. If your strengths are sales or mine are logistics, does that work out as long as we spell things out? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think from a lot of people that I've spoken to or has been, not really mixing family with business. A lot of it seems like that it strains the relationship, and that line is hard to not get blurred. Where are you right? Are you brother right now, or are you business partner? Are you business partner, or are you brother? Are you mom, or are you dad, or are you boss right now?
Yeah.
Right. And it's difficult to be both of those things. And then, when you put, money makes people do some pretty crazy things, right? In my experience, right? So if, then you could be like, one person could be, having a large, using more expenses that counts, and then that makes the other partner a little bit more uh, not as trustworthy, or things of that nature. So I think you definitely have to find someone you trust. But then it's hard. Like, wait, how do you find someone that you trust that you're not friends with, right? So maybe you could have business colleagues, maybe someone that you've worked with or worked alongside of, and then decided to become business partners. I think that's probably one of the better ones, where, hey, you work in a certain industry, you guys worked alongside each other, or you guys maybe came up at the same time and you outgrew the company, and then you're like, hey, let's branch off and make our own company.
Like our 300 Monster friends that came from the sales, operation, and finance side, started their own company, and they were friends, but they also brought more than, I know what they're buying. I know it wasn't very much when they first bought it. I know they're doing pretty well right now.
Right.
But they brought in 3 different things. So
and they weren't like best friends.
Yeah, they were, yes, correct.
They were friends,
yes.
But I don't think they weren't best friends. You know what I mean?
But investors, it's not always, like you're saying, it's not always about the money or how much money. Sometimes, really, $50,000 could really help a company out, but the value that person brings into the company, maybe their $50,000 only gets them 5% of the company, but then they can earn more by bringing them in. They can provide value in that way, and that investor can become more of a partner, right? So sometimes you're looking for that, sometimes you're not.
I would say that if you were to, when you are taking on investors, when you already have a business, right, and they're bringing in capital, and it's not a true 50% at capital, it would be to have a a period of time where before it's vested, right? So maybe you put in $50,000, and that is only a quarter of what the investment is, and they get 20. Say it's 100. Let's say round numbers. So 25,000. It was $100,000. They put in 25,000, but they're not vested into the company for 25% until 3 years.
Yes.
So then it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to kind of like walk away. Then it's not like, oh, well, this isn't working out, and walk away. And then, oh, I want to buy out or something like that. It's like, you don't have as much invested, but you also have enough where it's going to hurt a little bit, and you don't get your money back till 3 years, if you ever get it back.
Yes. And not all money is good money, right? So even if you needed, and we'll just use smaller round numbers, let's say to get you to the next step in your business, you really need about $100,000. You can really only find a couple of investors. This one investor seems like a better investor to you, but I need 100. Let's start with 50. Let's see what we can do with 50. Let's see if you want to be part of the company or help us out. And then as we grow, we can invest more if you're willing to do that. Because knowing your market value and your risk mitigation and things like that, sometimes your business is booming. I need this money, but you always don't need the money right away. You can always try to make something work. If you think you need $100,000, maybe you can make it work with $25,000. Then you're allowing less. You're having more risk mitigation, just in case something happens. If that investor fails, if it doesn't work out, it's less money you have to pay back. Or if things start rolling in the right direction, okay, hey, you can see we're using your money in the right way. Can we get a little more because we're using it the right way?
Right.
And then that investor, or as an investor ourselves, may be more, okay, you know what? You wanted 100, you took that first 25, you're doing really good with it. I'm going to bump it up to 150 because I think you're doing big things. So proving your value, making sure you're protecting yourself with mitigation of the risk, and making sure you're not you're not stretching out your team too much, because you get money, you bring it in, you think you have to do more and more and more. And maybe it's just doing what you do better, right? Doing what you do some better sometimes will probably bring in more business sometimes, right? So I think there's no right and no wrong way. And I know a lot of these things we touch on, we're trying to hit them in 15, 20 minutes. And, down the road, we'll probably have a little more conversation. Maybe we'll do one-off episodes like we're doing tomorrow night. That is going to be basically AI focused. Guys, get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Again, share with your friends, share with your family. You guys know an angel investor, have them reach out to us. We'd love to talk to them, maybe bring them on one day, get some ideas about things they're buying into. If you know someone that owns, they say a lot of these athletes after they retire, or even when they're in business, Shaq owns something like 30 Auntie Anne's cookies, or the cookie place in the mall, or
Auntie Annie's.
Yeah, the pretzel place, and all these. They start investing in these different things. So if you guys know anyone that is a big investor, looking for investments, wants to talk to us, wants to get on a podcast, maybe even make a pitch on our podcast. Hey guys, I'm looking for someone. We're looking.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to help people out, right? And I know our platform is not very big, but if you're out there and you want to get out here and talk to it and give us your pitch and put it out to the world, you never know. Maybe one person sees it that knows someone, and all of a sudden we find you an investor. So let's get the ball rolling. That'd be awesome. Let's that community, right? We're all in this community. Let's help each other.
That would be awesome.
We would love to hear someone that has a pitch that is looking for an investor or wants to invest in something. Reach out to us, message us in the comments, direct message on Instagram.
That's TikTok. Talking about bringing value, right?
It's talking about bringing value.
It's about bringing value. That's not about, that'd be crazy if all of a sudden
we did something like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. That would make this all worth it. If that happened, every podcast we did, and we're just going to get better at this, right? We keep at it. And I think that this is fun, but that would be worth it. You know what I mean? That would be awesome.
Yeah. We're not experts by any means. We're talking things through, we're in business, we're not that young, we're not that old, but the idea of this podcast is to bring people together, is to learn more, is to discuss things, is to bring people on. And again, is to build our community. One day, if this is doing better, we can breathe. Like I said, come on here. Maybe we do a week long that we talk to 5 different people every day. We let them put out a pitch. They pitch the business to us. We can talk them through it, and then we can put out to other people. So let's all help each other, guys, and let's.
Maybe we do a cooking show. Maybe Derek's doing a cooking show. Maybe we're doing a squishy show with the kids.
Whatever it is, we're gonna expand. We're gonna move.
It's gonna be fun, dude. What's the difference?
Now, this last segment is it's a little less business. It's gonna tie in a little bit, a little more personal. Again, JR's been in town, and when he puts his kids to bed, or he's been working from here during the day. Sometimes, if he, so he can get some work done. But his kids were out with their grandparents the other night, and we got a chance to just hang out, have some dinner, watch some TV, and we both love the show Lioness. If you guys have never seen Lioness, it's on Paramount. It's a great show. It's a pretty cool CIA military show.
Yeah.
And their first episode came out, and I don't want to be spoiler because it just came out, but it has to do, a lot of it has to do with the technology upgrades in military and how they're bringing in more unmanned crafts, whether it's drones, whether it's unmanned ground vehicles, tanks, armored vehicles, even the little drones that, everyone hears about the little drones that they're using, the Shiad drones, or however you say that Ukrainians are using, and they're making them for like $600, and they're, just flying thousands of them in, and it's basically little flying bombs, more or less. So we thought you guys get a chance to watch that show. I don't want to spoil it, and I'm sure you guys have seen shows like that, or even the drones when they're doing like the 4th of July. I don't know if anyone's seen those. It's crazy. I think I was watching something 4th of July, like out of maybe Austin, Texas, or something like that. It was an insane drone show that was. I thought it was cooler than any firework thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think some of those, I think they're mapped out. It's not like someone's driving all those. It's like it's all pre-mapped out, and it just kind of does it by itself. It's amazing.
So, and again, we're not experts on this, but just want to talk about, when you see this new technology, and especially that's something that's being actually implemented in the field, and a lot of our technology comes from military. I mean, really, the amount of money that most countries put into their military development is where we get most of our technologies, where we get, all our engines, most of our computer, most of our, new weapons, new flights, new vehicles,
Right.
new ideas, because of the amount of money that goes into the technology in the military, and how the media or TV shows portray that technology compared to real life use or how it works in reality. Just touching back to the Lioness show we were watching last night, I think they did a pretty decent job of showing what those military small drones can do. They also had a unmanned mini tank that was putting those drones down, but the drones themselves in the show were imperfect. Not all of them flew right. They were not like evading every type of bullet. I think they did a pretty good job of showing how it's real. But we watch the news, we hear things, and again, we're not experts in this. Is just watching movies and TVs and listening to stuff. But how do you feel?
It seems kind of real, right? It seems like it's plausible.
Yes.
Right. It all seems plausible.
That stuff is real. But how do you see when you hear about the drones, and then I don't know if your kids have little drones, but I mean I remember I bought my first drone a while back. It's probably like $1,000. Now you can get a drone at Walmart for like $15. That was probably as good as the one I bought for $1,000 5-10 years ago.
I will tell you that the first, if you want to call it drone, that I got was back in 2004 or 5 is when those little helicopters came out.
Mm-hmm.
The little helicopters came out, and I got one for Christmas when I was in college. And I remember and they were hard to fly.
Yeah. And
I think they're still out there, but the drones now are way easier to fly. And I remember playing with it in the apartment over at Nittany Apartments at Penn State and trying to land it on the table. It only lasted probably, maybe a week or two before it crashed and wasn't working anymore. But I mean, it's come a long way since then.
They have the gyroscopes in them that self-level themselves. You can set a destination, you can set a home, even on the cheap ones you can buy at the store. Hey, when you leave off of this, if I hit the home button, you fly back to this coordinate. And it just, the technology is so cool and how it's moving so fast. But it leads us to not only computer systems, software, that type of stuff, but the technology within vehicles, how already a lot of these electric vehicles are shifting. I know Ford is shifting from an all-electric Lightning, F-150 Lightning, and they're bringing in their new line is going to be part electric, part gas. They're kind of shifting away. I don't know if that's consumer demand or if they just see patterns going different. Also, with all these data centers, we're pulling so much. I don't know if any of you guys had any letters from your associations or villages about how your electrical rates are going to spike because the data centers going in because they're drawing so much power.
Oh, didn't know that.
A lot of people are trying to get these battery saver systems on their house, which are pretty cool. If you guys ever do any research on that, whether it's commercial or residential, what these saver systems do is, and this is something, if you guys don't know, whether you have ComEd or a different energy company, a lot of energy companies will, if you go on the website and you log in your account, you can do surge rating, right? So if you're someone that's not home during the day and most power is used from like 10 to 7 at night, you're someone that works during the day. Let's say you have electric vehicles and you're drawing power at night. You can program that electrical vehicle to only charge from midnight to 3 in the morning. And these surge prices, power is cheaper at night. And not all electrical companies, I don't know if they all provide it, but I know ComEd does. Go on there and request surge protection, especially if you have a hot tub or a pool, and you can program that system to run, to cycle at night, to charge your car at night, things like that. And what it does is it not only these battery backup systems will draw power at night when it's cheaper, and then during the day when you're using a lot of power, you actually pull that power from your backup battery compared to pulling it from ComEd.
I didn't. So it's kind of like it's like solar power, kind of, but
it draws from ComEd when let's say I don't know what the actual prices are, but let's say from midnight to 4 a.m. power costs you 12 cents kilowatt.
Yeah.
During the day, it costs you 50 cents a kilowatt.
Right.
Well, now during the day, you're pulling off of that battery that pulled that 12 cents, and you're not pulling off ComEd.
Yeah.
So those are some cool things that I'm sure it comes from military tech, right? But things change and things shift so fast, automation and all that, and how.
I want to know in the comments how many people knew about that, about the battery backups and the surge electric power and things of that nature. That'd be interesting.
I have a associate that I've been working with that they invested in that, and that's one of the things they sell. And I know it does work with solar too. You can have solar battery, but it's really about charging when power is cheap and using the battery power during the day. We kind of got off topic there. And I want to go back into the drones and a little more of the military thing that we don't often touch on, and how the military is leading more, we'll call it, they're trading steel for blood, right? They're putting less bodies on the front line. They're putting more unmanned craft, whether it's drones, again, whether it's mini tanks, whatever it is. And a lot of warfare is being done through computers, hacking systems, putting power grids down, and how that not only affects military, but how it affects civilian, and how that will lead, that type of technology leads into civilian wars. These unmanned crafts, vehicles, Waymos. You can get a taxi car. It's got no driver now.
I haven't been in one yet. Have you been in one yet? I
tried to get in once. I don't know if maybe it thought we had too much to drink, but it wouldn't let us in.
Really?
It started beeping like we were trying to rob it, and it drove away. I have not officially ridden one. They kind of freak me out. But that technology, I'm sure, again, comes from the military and how they're doing, how the trading the steel for blood is going to not only save lives on the battlefield, which is a great thing, but then that technology will leak over into civilian world, into industry. And how does that take away jobs? Or is it going to take away that many jobs? Or, what is your opinion about some of that stuff?
Oh, repeat the question.
So automation, whether it's in industry, whether, they're saying Elon Musk last week was talking about how in 5 years there'll basically be no surgeons because the automated robots will be able to do surgery better than any surgeon that's ever existed.
I was in I was in surgery.
So this is why I want to bring that up.
Yeah, I've been in surgeries in a past life. I don't know if you want to call it past life, but so they do have this robot that they call it's the Da Vinci robot. I think there's some other ones out there now where you're on a console and you could do surgery remotely, kind of a thing. Some of the issues with that I've heard is the textile feel of like how hard you're pulling on things and suturing. It does take some feel. I think there is some precision to it. But again, right, you got to also think of, we call it practicing medicine.
Yeah.
We call it, practicing medicine for a reason, right? There's always, if you always go by the percentage of a positive outcome, then no one would push the envelope, right? If you always go for, well, the data says that you're only going to have a 60% success rate in something, then maybe we shouldn't do the surgery. But it takes a person or the expertise of someone to then be able to overcome that certain percentage of success rate.
Yeah, and it's a percentage are odd, right? If I had 100 jelly beans in my hand, I said 2 of these will kill you. You're not going to have 1 jelly bean. right? But if I say you have a 5% chance to live, you're going to take that 5% chance to live, right? So it's a weird thing. Like you said, nothing. It's a average. It's like you said, practicing.
Right.
There's no perfect medicine. What works for me doesn't work for you, vice versa. And we'll spill into more of this AI and robotics tomorrow night with our buddy Steve. But again, we were talking before we got to this podcast, and you're like, maybe we don't have to do an hour, and we're hitting an hour mark.
Yeah.
So
Seems
JR
like it happens every time.
Every time. JR goes back to Jersey this weekend, so we'll be back to our normal green screen backgrounds. I think we've been hitting a good amount of topics again, guys. Get in the comments. Let us know if we're missing things, your ideas on some of the stuff. We had our most amount of feedback about some of the AI stuff, which was really nice. Receiving some feedback through Facebook, through Instagram. It's really cool. We love the fact that anyone's listening to this. It's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's cool. Again, if
we're just having fun.
We're having fun. If you're out there, you're looking to invest in something. You're looking for investors in your company. You have an idea and you want to put it out to the world. We're not very big, but we're willing to listen. We're willing to help you out and put you out there. And you never know. So, we're trying to build up this, our network. We're trying to build up a little, I don't know what to call it, the squad.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're trying to, anyone out there, we want to bring people in. We want to help each other grow as people, as business. A lot of this stuff we talk about in business, I hope you can kind of hear it and take it towards your personal life. If you're someone out there, you're back in the dating game, maybe you're recently single, something like that. Some of this networking advice we talked about earlier was, I could notice, hey, kind of used to do that when we were dating.
Right.
So some of the conversations, although they're tailored toward business, listen to them a little deeper, take it into your personal life. We're talking about accountability within business. Take accountability in your own life. You do something wrong, step up, fix it, make things right. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to grow. It's never too late to make a difference. It's never too late to try something new.
If you ain't growing, you're dying, really,
Yeah.
right? And we're humans, and we've been been bred or meant to grow and to create things,
yeah.
Right? And that's why we always, like I always say, let's make tomorrow great on purpose, or let's make today great on purpose. And that's why we always have the rocket ship.
Well, we'll leave it at that, guys. Again, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, leave us a comment, reach out to us. Let's build up this audience, not for us, but for the community. Let's build a community of people that are supporting each other and want to help each other out, want to have a huge network, whether it's 5 people, 50 people, maybe one day we have 1,000 people listening. You never know what someone else can do for you or you can do for someone else. So again, like, subscribe, share. I'll see you next week back in Jersey.
Here we go. Let's go.
We'll be doing a podcast. I'll probably shoot this out as a surprise podcast tomorrow morning. We'll be shooting one tomorrow about the AI. We'll see how that works out. And guys, get out there, do something new, try something new. Say something nice to someone, build someone up, check in on that friend you haven't talked to in a while. Call your mom, call your dad, call your sister, call your brother. Make a difference out there in a positive way.
All right, let's go, rocket ship.
Rocket ship.
Let's go, rocket ship.